I'm at the desk again. The smell of old paper and dust fills my nose, thick and dry. My fingers move, sorting files, though I don't remember starting this task. The brass key in my pocket feels cool against my thigh. I rub it, a small comfort I always seek. The office is quiet, too quiet. A single lamp casts a yellow circle on the stack of documents before me. Beyond that, shadows cling to the walls. They seem thicker tonight, deeper. I watch them. They ripple, like water, even though the air is perfectly still. A faint scratching sound begins. It comes from the far corner, near the old filing cabinets. Scratch, scratch, pause. It's rhythmic, almost deliberate. I don't turn my head. My eyes stay on the shadows. They are moving now, not just rippling. They stretch, reaching out from the corners, like long, thin fingers. The wall clock ticks loudly, its second hand jumping 2 seconds forward, then 1 back. It does this repeatedly, a broken rhythm. This felt wrong. The scratching stops abruptly. The silence that follows is heavy, pressing down. I feel a familiar chill spread across my left forearm, a ghost of a touch from before. It's a persistent mark, a reminder. The shadows hold their new shapes. They are no longer just shadows. They are outlines, darker than dark, pressed against the wall. I can almost see a form within them, a tall, slender shape. It doesn't move, but it watches. I know it watches. I keep sorting the files. I didn't move. I force my attention back to the files, my fingers moving mechanically, sorting by date, then by subject. The brass key in my pocket feels warm now, a strange contrast to the persistent chill on my left forearm. I rub it, kneading the grounding, the solid weight. The shadows on the far wall hold their impossible shapes, tall and slender, darker than anything natural. They don't move, but the air around them seems to hum. A low vibration I feel in my teeth, a pressure building behind my eyes. The office door, far across the room, groans open a fraction of an inch, then slowly, silently swings shut again. No breeze. No one else here. The single lamp on my desk flickers, dipping the room into near darkness for a heartbeat, before flaring back to its dim yellow. Each flicker makes the shadows on the wall seem to lunge forward, then recede. My eyes dart to the stack of sorted files. A red folder, one I had just placed at the bottom of the completed pile, now rests squarely on top of the pending stack. I hadn't touched it. I hadn't moved it. The silence stretches, broken only by the erratic tick of the wall clock, which now skips 5 seconds forward, then 3 back. The tall shapes on the wall seem to lean in, just slightly, their impossible darkness deepening, drawing closer. I feel a cold breath on the back of my neck. Though no window is open, no fan is running. It felt wrong. I should have left. But I kept sorting. I just kept sorting. The office door, which had just closed, now opened again. Not a groan this time, but a soft click. Mark from accounting stepped inside. His eyes were wide, rolled back slightly, showing too much white. A fixed, unsettling smile stretched his lips. His voice was flat, a strange echo. The archives must be kept. Always. The records demand it. He blinked once, then twice, the smile fading. His eyes refocused, normal again. Oh, Tvero. Still at it? Good man. He turned and walked out, the door clicking shut behind him. I didn't respond, I just watched the door. As I turned back to my desk, a movement caught my eye in the polished surface of the old wooden filing cabinet across the room. A flicker. Not a reflection of myself, but something else. A tall, impossibly thin figure, darker than the deepest shadow, seemed to stretch and then contract in the wood's sheen. It was gone before I could fully register it. My breath hitched. I blinked, rubbing the brass key in my pocket, feeling the cold on my forearm intensify. Had I imagined it? My gaze swept the room, finding nothing. But then I saw it. On the top of the filing cabinet, where only dust had been, 3 distinct, long, narrow indentations now marred the polished wood, as if something with sharp, delicate fingers had pressed down hard. The wood was splintered slightly at the edges. It felt wrong. I didn't move. I just kept sorting. I kept sorting the files, my fingers moving mechanically, the brass key a cold weight in my pocket. The 3 indentations on the filing cabinet across the room were burned into my vision, a silent, undeniable proof. A low groan started then, not from the door this time, but from the wall behind the cabinet. It sounded like old wood settling, a building sighing in its sleep, but it held a strange, drawn-out quality that felt wrong. I tried to rationalize it, telling myself it was just the building, an old structure always making noises. But then, a stack of folders on the shelf beside me, perfectly balanced moments before, suddenly slid off and crashed to the floor. The sound echoed too loudly in the quiet office, sharp and jarring. My breath hitched. I didn't move. A faint whisper followed, like dry leaves skittering across stone, right next to my ear. I flinched, my hand instinctively going to the persistent chill on my left forearm. A familiar, unwelcome touch. The air around me grew colder. A sharp, unnatural drop in temperature that made the hairs on my arms prickle. I could see the shadows on the far wall stretching, elongating, twisting into impossible shapes, no longer just outlines, but reaching, grasping forms. My heart began to pound, a heavy drum against my ribs, a rhythm I couldn't ignore. This wasn't settling wood. This wasn't a draft. This was something else, something that wanted me to know it was here, and it was getting closer. I gripped the key tighter, my knuckles white, the files blurring before my eyes. The whisper grew louder, a dry rustle right beside my ear, like countless insects skittering across stone. I felt a cold breath, not air, but something else against my cheek. My head remained fixed on the files, but my eyes flickered to the edge of my vision. There, standing impossibly close, was a figure. It was tall, impossibly thin, like a line drawn in the air, but with a strange, wavering quality, as if seen through heat haze. Its form was made of the deepest shadow, absorbing the dim light from my lamp, making the space around it even darker. I couldn't make out features, only the impression of something reaching, something with too many joints, too many angles. It didn't have eyes, but I felt its gaze, a heavy weight pressing down on me, a silent demand. A faint, acrid smell, like ozone and dust, filled the air, stinging my nostrils. My left forearm, where the chill always lingered, now burned with a sudden, sharp pain, as if a needle had pierced it, leaving a fresh, angry red mark. I clenched my jaw, my teeth grinding. The brass key in my pocket felt like a burning coal against my thigh, a small, useless comfort. I didn't move. I couldn't. The air around it shimmered, distorting the shelves behind it, making the books appear to bend. A small, dark stain, like spilled ink, appeared on the polished wood of my desk, right where its hand seemed to hover, slowly spreading. It was here. It was real, and it was waiting for me to acknowledge it. An ink stain on the desk spread slowly, a dark, wet bloom beneath the hovering shadow hand. It pulsed faintly, like a bruised heart, mirroring the frantic beat in my own chest. The burning on my forearm intensified, a constant, searing reminder of its presence, of its touch. I knew I couldn't stay frozen. Every instinct screamed at me to bolt, to push back from the desk and run. But the air felt thick, heavy, as if resisting any sudden movement. My fingers, still resting on the sorted files, twitched. I considered reaching for the lamp, to throw it, to create some distraction, any break in the oppressive stillness. As the thought formed, a subtle shift occurred. The shadow hand on the desk didn't move much, just a slight, almost imperceptible tilt. But the ink stain beneath it rippled, then elongated, stretching towards my own hand, mirroring my internal impulse. It was as if it heard my unspoken plan, anticipating my every impulse before it even fully formed. A cold dread, colder than any draft, seeped into my bones, confirming the impossible. My grip tightened on the brass key in my pocket, its edges digging into my palm, a futile anchor in a world that bent to impossible wills. I felt trapped, pinned not by physical force, but by an unseen, knowing pressure that seemed to understand the very wiring of my thoughts. The air around the entity shimmered more violently now, the shelves behind it blurring into a distorted smear of color and impossible angles, a silent testament to its power. I should have left. I should have run when it was just shadows. Now, it was too late. I was caught. The ink stain, now a dark tendril, snaked across the desk. It didn't just move towards my hand, it wrapped around the files, pinning them down. A cold pressure settled on my wrist, not a physical touch, but a deep, internal chill that felt like a hand squeezing my bones from the inside. The burning on my left forearm flared, a sharp, angry heat, confirming the entity's proximity, its undeniable presence. The air grew heavy, thick with an unseen weight, making it hard to draw a full breath. I tried to pull my hand back, to break free, but the pressure intensified, a silent, unyielding command. My fingers, still clutching the brass key in my pocket, trembled. I could feel its cold metal against my palm, a tiny, useless comfort. Just then, the office door creaked open. Mark from accounting stepped inside. His eyes were wide, rolled back slightly, a fixed, unsettling smile on his face. He walked past my desk without seeing me, his voice flat, devoid of emotion. "The rule is simple," he droned. "Always acknowledge the unseen. Never question the impossible." He paused, his head tilting unnaturally. "It knows when you doubt." Then, his eyes snapped back to normal. The smile vanished, and he blinked, looking around as if confused. "Oh, Tvero, still at it? I just needed to grab a report." He walked to a shelf, grabbed the file, and left, the door clicking shut behind him. I watched him go, then looked back at the desk. The ink tendril had tightened its grip. The pressure on my wrist was a dull ache now, a constant reminder. I didn't move. I just watched the ink, and the shimmering entity behind it. It knew. The ink tightened, a cold, unyielding band around the files, and the pressure on my wrist became a dull throb, a constant reminder. Mark's words, delivered with that unsettling smile, echoed in the sudden quiet. Always acknowledge the unseen. Never question the impossible. The air in the office felt thick, not just heavy, but wrong, as if the very molecules had rearranged themselves to press down on me. Every shadow seemed to deepen, to shift just at the edge of my vision, making the familiar room alien and hostile. I felt eyes on me, not just the shimmering entities, but 1,000 unseen points of focus, pressing in from the walls, from the ceiling, from the very air itself. My own breath sounded too loud, a ragged gasp in the overwhelming silence, and the faint hum of the fluorescent lights seemed to pulse with a hidden rhythm. I couldn't trust what I saw, what I heard. Was that a whisper? Or just the old building settling? Was that movement in the corner? Or just my tired eyes playing tricks? The fear wasn't a sudden jolt. It was a slow, creeping dread. A constant hum beneath my skin. A paranoia that clawed at the edges of my mind. I gripped the brass key in my pocket, its cold metal a small anchor in the rising tide of unreality. The burning on my left forearm flared again. A sharp, undeniable pain. A physical validation that this was not a dream. It was all real. The entity, the ink, the pressure, the unseen eyes. It was all real, and it was watching me, waiting for me to doubt. I didn't move. I just breathed, trying to keep the panic from taking hold. The oppressive weight lifted, slowly at first, then all at once. The air thinned, losing its suffocating density, and the unseen eyes that had pressed in from every surface seemed to blink away, leaving only the familiar, dusty quiet of the office. The shimmering entity, which had been a dark, impossible shape against the far wall, simply wasn't there anymore. It hadn't faded or moved. It had just ceased to be, like a thought forgotten. The fluorescent lights hummed with a steady, unremarkable drone, no longer pulsing with that hidden, unsettling rhythm. The shadows, though still deep in the corners, no longer stretched or writhed. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding, a long, shaky exhale. My desk lamp cast its usual yellow circle, and the stacks of files looked ordinary again, save for the faint, dark sheen of the ink that still bound the top bundle, a cold, unyielding band. The dull throb in my wrist persisted, a phantom echo of the pressure, and the burning on my left forearm flared once more, a sharp, undeniable pain. I rubbed the brass key in my pocket, its coolness a small, necessary comfort. This wasn't over. It never was. This was just a pause, a brief moment of quiet, before the next impossible thing began. The evidence remained, etched into the world and into me. I rubbed the brass key in my pocket, its cool weight a familiar anchor against the persistent throb in my wrist. The burning on my left forearm still prickles, a phantom touch from something that shouldn't have been able to leave a mark. The office hums with a false quiet, the kind that follows a storm, not true peace. The stacks of files wait, innocent now, but the top bundle still holds that faint, dark sheen of impossible ink, a cold, unyielding band that shouldn't exist. I look at it, then at the empty corner where the shadows had writhed into a form. It's gone, yes, but not truly. It never is. This quiet, this brief return to normal, is just part of the pattern. A breath held, a moment of respite before the next impossible thing begins. I understand now. The entity doesn't truly leave. It simply recedes, pulling back into the fabric of this place, waiting for its turn to emerge again. It's a tide, always returning, always bringing with it the impossible. My task here, sorting these endless files, feels like a ritual, a way to mark time between its appearances, a futile attempt to impose order on chaos. I am not escaping it. I am merely observing its cycle, a prisoner to its ebb and flow, bound to this desk, to these files, to its inevitable return. The air still carries a faint, metallic tang, a memory of its presence. I know it will be back. It always is. And I will always be here, waiting.